Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Ever since I started this channel, I get really grumpy with the fact that a lot of new rock bands, especially like British rock bands, they get a lot of hype with their first album. And especially the British press, they're the new best new thing. And there's this kind of weird vampiric obsession with their youth and the hope that the 90s are going to come back and we're going to have Blur and Oasis and Radiohead all again, or the Smiths and the Cure, or the Beatles and the Stones. And they get all excited and they hype them all up and they give them the Mercury prizes or whatever. And then they stop. It's like maybe you get to play Glastonbury or Shaftesbury upon Thamesbury, but at a certain point, you're no longer the hot newness, and we have to wait for the next band to come out. They are dropped like old pasties. Is that a thing? I don't know. I'm working on my knowledge of British culture, mostly through watching Jimmy the Giant videos. But I'm the problem, because The Last Dinner Party released their debut album. Sorry, we're moving some chairs upstairs. You're just going to have to live with it. I don't edit. They released their first album, and it was great. It was so hyped that I actually didn't review it at first because I was having that frustration with like, okay, here comes the next great British rock band that everyone's going to hype up and then drop like an old pasty. But then I did it. I listened to the song. I listened to the album. I loved it. I did a review of it. I considered it one of the best albums of the year. And then just a month ago or a month and a half ago, they dropped their new album, From the Pyre. And it might as well have been called From the Junk Heap, because I just didn't listen to it. I didn't review it. I just let it go. That's why I'm the problem, just like maybe you are. Now, to be fair to myself, this has been a really rough semester. It's been really bad times on a personal level. I've been really busy. Plus, my channel's been tanking. It's been really rough. But the whole time since this album came out, I have had a very long-time auditor, a long-time watcher, commenting in a sort of friendly, harassing way, how come you haven't reviewed this yet? And this is true about, I believe, most YouTubers. If you comment and engage in good faith with a YouTuber consistently over the period of years, you might have a one-way parasocial relationship, but there is also a certain amount to which the YouTuber recognizes the image or recognizes the style, and it is sort of one of the nice parts of doing this weird kind of hobby of talking about music. So there is this one particular one. I'm not going to name them. I'm just going to call them the Tottenham fan, the Spurs fan. There's a fan of the British soccer club, association football if you're nasty, the British soccer club called Tottenham, who's been watching for a long time and commenting for a long time. And so I had this kind of funny idea. I was like, you know what? Tottenham are playing Arsenal. So if Tottenham wins, I will do The Last Dinner Party to celebrate. And it'll be a weird sort of parasocial thumbs up. And then Arsenal whipped them. I was like, okay, well, they're playing Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. Maybe Paris will be off their game. I'll do it then. Paris beat them. Last week, I'm like, Fulham? Can they beat Fulham? No, they couldn't beat Fulham. So I'm not going to tie it to the success of the Tottenham Hotspurs. On my second channel, by the way, I've been doing only videos about Haiti the entire semester. But that class is coming to an end. So check tomorrow. I will be dropping my Premier League tier list based entirely on what I feel. It's going to be a totally useless, pointless video, which also, frankly, I think will be really fun. After over 25 years of not having a team in the Premier League, I'm finally going to choose one. I'm going to tell you who I like, who I don't, and why. So if you're not subscribed to From the Desk of Professor Sky, go do that now. It's not just Haiti anymore. So, I'm finally reviewing this album. And the other thing about it is nobody tell them, okay? Nobody tell the members of Last Dinner Party that they're not an arena rock band. Shh. They don't know. I think maybe they think when they play that they're in front of Wembley or Wimbledon, whatever the big stadium is in England. They think they're there. They think that they're playing in some kind of huge football stadium in Rio de Janeiro. Shh, nobody tell them that they're not selling CDs. They are the most grandiose, perfectly produced, just ambitiously, gorgeously, just rock and roll band I have heard in a super duper long time. And they just perform like they are U2 in the early 90s. You know, when U2 was at their best in the early 90s, the Zooropa era, you know, they're performing like, I don't know, like they're Blur in the 90s. They just perform and write music, and it's not even that it's throwback. I'm not saying it's like a throwback 90s thing. I don't think it's trying to be throwback, but it can't help. But, you know, this isn't the same. All British bands are not the same. You know, this isn't how I feel listening to Black Country New Road or whatever, right? It's like they have this mentality or this ability to play which just incarnates a certain kind of, I don't know if it's British, but some kind of general rock and roll, put your foot up on the monitor on the stage and just belt out your music. And I don't know if the world is checking for them right now. You know, my daughter was a fan of Last Dinner Party, and she's like, they released a new album. I'm like, yes, they did. It's really good. So, you know, it's fallen away. But it's great. It is great. Spurs fan is absolutely correct. I should have been reviewing this album. From Kolomoani's feet to my ears, it is totally correct. What I think is interesting about this album is it feels like a continuation of everything from the last album except the hit. So it feels like, I don't know, Caesar on the TV screen, but just more poetic, more over the top, more. The big hit off their last album was Nothing Matters, which I think will end up being sort of their creep. You know, like a good song that isn't really representative of what they are. Because, you know, Nothing Matters had that kind of Franz Ferdinand turn of the century British neo-disco rock indie thing going on. And I want you like nothing. You know, it had that anthemic quality, but it wasn't quite like rickety rock. The thing about The Last Dinner Party is that they are not, I don't consider them to be post-punk. I don't consider them to be in that lane. I don't consider them to be at all in that kind of proggy zone that so much of the big British windmilly stuff is. It is just, I mean, I'm not going to call it classic rock, but I think like they belong in the same category as Geese. Okay? What I mean by that is like anachronistic rock, not throwback, not just like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we sounded like Led Zeppelin, not Greta Van Fleet, but just like rock and roll for a non-rock and roll time. Last Dinner Party reminds me the most of Queen when I listen to them. And that might sound crazy to you, but maybe it doesn't. Now, the whole thing is produced not by James Ford, which was a bummer to me. Can I be a dick? I've already proven that I can. The reason I didn't review this album was I was so disappointed it wasn't James Ford, because I love talking about James Ford. Wow, Sky. An all-female rock band, and you get upset that they have a different male producer. How just perfectly paternalistic of you, Sky. But instead it's this guy, Marcus Draves, who produced Viva la Vida by Coldplay. I shot a stray at Coldplay in one of my videos recently, and everybody got really mad at me. Do you guys all like Coldplay? Am I wrong on this? Have I been wrong the whole time? Is Coldplay secretly not terrible? Can you tell me in the comments? You know, I don't know. But it makes sense because maybe the things that make Coldplay good are that ability to be an arena rock band. Except the difference is, The Last Dinner Party, unfortunately for them, didn't mature in the time where arena rock bands were made. There are no arena rock bands. They cannot be made. The most you can be is maybe a theater rock band. But it's great. Really solid, super meaningful. The cover's great. The cover looks like a Criterion Criterion cover of an A24 film. It's got all these images. I think it's supposed to remind you of Jan van Eyck's painting of Agnes Day, the Lamb of God, a beautiful painting. The Ghent altarpiece in Ghent, Belgium. True story. My grandfather saved that painting from the Nazis. He personally took and saved the Ghent altarpiece. But it has that kind of like iconography. It's a little winking. It's a little weird. It's a lot of themes. It's a little unsettling. It feels like a Northern Renaissance painting. Maybe if you're not thinking Van Eyck, maybe you're thinking of Hieronymus Bosch, something like that. But it has that kind of feeling. Everything about it feels so super intentional. It feels like an A24 film in the way where you're like, this can't really be this good, can it? But it really can be. So let's go through the album. All right, I'm not going to belabor it too much because realistically, if I keep this video a little shorter, it'll get more views. It's really difficult figuring out how long to make reviews when you want people to watch. Maybe I should stop talking about Spurs. Check out the second channel. See what tier they made it to. The tier list is favorite team, teams I root for, teams I generally like, teams I generally don't like, and Chelsea. That's my tier list over there. Anyways, Agnes Day. This big epic start with this sweeping guitar lead. And the vocals are like, this is what I mean. Like the vocals are kind of campy. They're very Queenish. They're sung with a certain level of pomposity. 'Twas London Bridge, the vision came. Bum, 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 Lily Hazelwood, you were singing. It's just beautiful. Your arms are open, Lamb of God. Did I spell it wrong? The lyrics on this album are super poetic, super cool. Like you sort of get them and you sort of don't, which are my favorite kinds of lyrics. It feels like a lot of it's about a breakup. It seems like a lot of it's about fame. It seems like a lot of it's about the difficulty of having fame and dating. And then a lot of it is just this weird other register of like semi-surrealistic, spiritual... What's the term in British? Like wankery? Like just kind of like thinking about stuff and writing it out. And that sounds like I'm insulting it, but I'm not. It's good. Some of my favorite British lyricists engage in spiritual wankery. Great refrain. Was that enough to make you come? Am I enough to make you stay? I feel like this ties into a lot of the stuff on the last album, where a lot of it I think is really important because like women have a very weird position in existence. Thank you, Sky, for making that clear. But it's true. Like in dating, it's like it's not that hard to attract a man enough to get him to ejaculate. But to attract a man enough for him to try to make a life with you is traditionally much more difficult. So like, that sounds crude and coarse, but I imagine, were I a woman, I would hear this song and be like, gosh, they said it. They finally said it. They finally said it. It's easy to get him to come. It's hard to make him stay. Beautiful. Efficient songwriting. This insanely big and full thing. Again, nobody tell them they're not playing stadiums. They don't know. They think they're at the Isle of Wight Festival in 1969. We can't tell them the truth. The second verse is so campy. 'Twas on the banks, the Ohio, one kiss and I was disemboweled. I'm not saying this is Morrissey-like lyrics, but it is. One kiss and I was disemboweled. And your chattering teeth and my shuddering spine. Just beautiful. At times, it tiptoes, just a little tiptoe into the world of musical theater. Just a tiptoe into the music theater. A little bit in the Black Country New Roadway, but they don't go too far there. And then there's this whole bridge, this whole ending. This song is like 10 minutes long, but it feels like it's an hour because there's so much in it. All I can give you is a street sign. All I can give you is your name and lights forever. Isn't that so much better than a ring on my finger? The search for loneliness. And then, a guitar solo. A guitar solo. They don't know. They have some kind of audience dysmorphia, and I think it's a beautiful thing. Do you hear them moving the chairs upstairs? I can never quite tell what comes through, but my girls are going nutty upstairs. But I love it. This huge and epic, just this bashing outro. And then we get to Count the Ways. And this is the thing. I've listened to this album, 10 times or something. Like every track gets stuck in my head as I say the title, which is really good. Count the Ways. Here the voice is more leading. I don't know. So I have no idea what the members of the band look like. I need glasses. So I only ever see the band from the album cover, which is on my phone. So I don't even know what they look like. But there is something to the lead singer's voice. I looked it up. It's Abigail something. That is just very attractive. Not like, I'm not trying to be like a weird, not in a creepy way, but just like kind of lead singery way. Again, a little bit like Cameron Winter with Geese, just where it's just like that's lead singery, right? What's crazy though is there's other songs where she's not singing and it's also great. So I don't know. But just twist the knife, let it, screw it, I'll screw it. I can hear the strings that should be for me. I can see the rings that should be for me. And then we hear the strings as they come in. Beautifully produced. Again, tell me, am I wrong about Coldplay? All right, now they're going a little bit crazy up there. I'm starting to lose my cool. Okay, I can't go full dad. Girls, but my wife's up there, so. If you listen carefully, you can hear her telling them to be quieter in Serbian. Like just what is this song? Classic rock, chugging, kind of glam like. At times she's singing like Gwen Stefani. She has that kind of clarity and kind of nice brattiness. The voice is just so up front and the lyrics are not obscured. And at times there's like almost like a Pixies in the back, like a Pixie style sound in the back. And then we get to second best with this choir. Now the days grow long. Most kind of musical here, scene about walking on the beach and this piano. It's so sweet. And this killer guitar comes in with this hi-hat. And then we finally have the most prog-like, a little bit upended time signature. Just a little bit, but just a touch. The thing is, it's threading a needle. Making rock and roll music in 2025 is threading a needle. Because if you don't resort to prog rock cool and iconic distance, then you are in grave danger of becoming Greta Van Fleet, backwards looking boomer. And they managed to thread that needle absolutely perfectly throughout this entire album without ever having to rely on the kind of prog rock or post-punk detached cool. It's just great. Again, kind of a bratty second verse, a little more sort of Gwen Stefani-ish. Great lyrics. What I would do to be better than you, and everything builds. Like there's like 1,000 crescendos in this album. Chewing gum and white wine. Your cold answer's mine. I'm wasting my time. I hate to lose, and maybe that's why I left you behind. Isn't it nice to be second best? Then we get to This Is the Killer Speaking, which is pretty clearly the single on the album. It feels like it. I had my 3-year-old and my 1-year-old upstairs, and they were sitting down on this little tiny low bench, and I was teaching them the Be My Baby rhythm. Boom, 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 ksh, boom, boom. And this has that going with the piano, almost like a Nick Cavey style sound at times. Like it has sort of like kind of a westerny sort of murder balladsy feel, but then everything's just so catchy. Here comes the killer, here comes your girl. Has the da 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 da. Has like the really emphatic snares, like that really propulsing pre-chorus and chorus, and it's just good. Good morning, good looking. Is the killer on the line? Like you just every single part of the song is a different hook, but it's not like we like to move it style hook. As I was thinking about this, I'm like, this kind of reminds me of like a Jackson Browne song with all of its different layers and levels and the convincingness of the melody without it kind of selling out for cheap earwormness. And then other times I thought about the lyrics themselves and I realized this makes me feel like I'm more in kind of Warren Zevon territory. And then I got all confused because I'm like, I thought my framing device was I was comparing this band to Queen, and now I'm comparing them to a bunch of LA singers like Warren Zevon and Jackson Browne. As long as no other very popular 1970s LA based bands come into my mind for the rest of this video, we should be just fine. And then even at the end, when she sings "Here Comes Your Girl," I think it's intentionally echoing "Here Comes Your Man" by the Pixies. Because it kind of has that same sort of feeling. Okay, it appears as though the girls upstairs have calmed down. It really ratchets up my anxiety when they're like... Then Rifle, apparently this is someone else. This is a different person singing. And my daughter's in a band right now. Just freshman year, just starting out. Apparently there's a lead singer. and she doesn't want the other people in the band to sing. It's like, that's going to have to change. If you got 4 people who can sing in a band, eventually all 4 people are going to sing. That's just this the way existence is, you know? There can always be a singer. Anyways, gorgeous organ and voice. Reminds me more of Nick Cave again. And then she even starts singing about things being all red. And then she sings about a cave. This beautiful thing with this silky drums and guitar and the bass, and the voice is just soaring, and this kind of hard rock bit with these breaks that like builds up. And then there's this like this kind of like Star Warsy choir, like the cha cha kia kind of in the back that builds up. Killing in the name of, I don't know what she actually sings there, but it's great. And then there's a French choir, a French bridge where they sing together. Les fleurs meurent sous ton regard, les mers se brisent dans tes bras, le pouvoir de tes mains m'éclate, je grimpe au ciel avec hâte. This very much feels like a poem that is written by a person who is not French, but who's been learning French. I know, because I've written many lyrics in French. It's kind of interesting, though, you know, the flowers die under, you know, as you look at them. Seas break in your hands. The power of your hands breaks me. I climb to the sky with impatience. The power of your big storms. I flee between the clouds, but the sky has nothing to tell me. The stars turn their face. The dawn traipses upon the night. It is you, my son. You are the end? What was my son? What was that? What is my son doing there? That was weird. That was weird. That was like, what? Did you mean to say son? Mon fils? Are you trying to say like my boy? Anyways, but it's great. And then just, you know, crushed to dust, all you love, doesn't feel good, spilling blood. This is not a heavy metal band, but if you have a heavy metal fan, play this song for them. Crushed to dust, all you love, doesn't feel good, spilling blood. Beautiful. Kind of a detuning guitar. Woman is a tree. Lots of women as nature themes in here. When men do it, ugh, gross. When women do it, cool, interesting, poetic insight. A woman is a lake upon which I dip my toes. Ew, dude, shut up. That's gross. But when women do it, it's cool because it's not creepy and possessive. This is Lizzie Maryland, the other singer. So, wait, no, it's not. She's saying the last one. I don't know. It's someone else singing again. I like this one less. Harbor in your heart, oysters, shards from the sea. My blisters are burst where scales used to be. I foam at the mouth, carve an axe where you speak. Woman is a tree, tenderfoot and peerless arrived. This kind of middle bit of the album I like a little bit less here. I hold your anger. This one is, I guess, sung by the keyboardican. The piano's plunking along with the bass, kind of a lower voice, which is nice, kind of a nice kind of shift there. Unexpected kind of musical vibe in the chorus. I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a ship inside a bottle. Again, sort of like what is a woman, I guess is kind of one of the themes of this album. Not like that weird bigot who made that movie. As a 90s kid, it reminded me too much of the song I'm a B-Word by Meredith Brooks. I'm a mother, I'm a talent, I'm a love, but that's fine. Still though, another great guitar solo, great choir in the back. Even when I don't like it that much, it's still really good. Still nuts. Then we get to Sail Away, which reminds me strongly of Nilsson and Randy Newman. 2 more LA people. So I don't know what to say. I don't know why. But, I mean, of course, there is the song Sail Away, which Randy Newman wrote and did a great job with, and then Harry Nilsson covered and did a better job with. I don't know if that's the inspiration, but the plunky little lilting piano melody. But then it becomes kind of more Leonard Cohen-y like. And I just love this song. I'm going to do my best to describe it in an intellectual, smarty-marty parts fans way. But realistically, I just like this song, everybody. It's just a good song. We used to ride in limousines. The leather was cold. We drove to the beach. The drums on the CD like a wound. A thesis you wrote, angelic and cruel. Rip us to shreds. Walk me to school. June bugs are buzzing in the grass. If I could find a way to wipe out every day I didn't spend a second in your bed, then I would take my ship, have no one else on it, and sail away. Beautiful imagery of just this like desperate love of somebody and the desire to be with that person and the anger that they've ever had to spend any time away with them. I'm just noticing I'm not having a good hair day today. What's going on? I did the part too strong. Oh my God, I need a haircut. I'm going to tell you the truth. I really like my barber, but I made the mistake of going there like right after the Charlie Kirk thing, and he was more conservative than I thought he was, and it was kind of an unpleasant haircut. So maybe I'm just going to grow my hair super long like I did before. I'm just kidding. I like being married. Then another theme of like, woman is nature. I'm more than a girl. I'm a seaside. You carved your name inside my thigh. Just this almost like child chorus here. Take me with you anyway. Then we get the song The Scythe, which is a song about death. I love it. We need more songs about death. Hell yes. Death songs, please. The guitar's doing kind of a bucka and this little fiddle here too. And just this like nothing lasts. I've seen the scythe in the sheath, like the death is coming and everything, and this great fiddle up and down, and just this verse, and it even kind of reminds me of Licky Lee at points, but a little bit more authentic, a little bit more grounded. And there's another great guitar solo, and then the album ends with Inferno, which has almost a Layla-like style piano. This just I don't know how, but they keep making melodies that are memorable and catchy that are not earworms. That's a real skill. Very few bands are able to do that, and Last Dinner Party are able to. Props to my Spursy fan for being on me till I reviewed this album. I'm Jesus Christ, I'm swinging in a gallery in France. I'm the guillotine, I'm terrified, there'll be no second chance. This is what I'm talking about. She's just kind of floating around. She's just talking about stuff. It turns out there was like, she was walking around in France and saw a crucifix, Jesus, like hanging in a gallery. And she wrote about this and said, the next day, I don't know how she talks. The next day I started writing this song about how it feels to be spiraling upwards and downwards at the same time, like an endless coil. You can choose which way you want, to go. And I thought that's a good way to end an album. But it's great. It's just a great rock and roll song. 40 minutes. In, out. Side A, side B. We're not dealing with like side C, side D, the 5-minute remix, and the this and the that and the that and the this. It's just a straight stadium rock banger filled with great music that's memorable and charming and just well made. All right. So I'm now going to go. I'm going to hit stop, and then I'm going to record. I'm going to record my Premier League tier list. My Premier League peer list. So go check out my second channel for that. All right. Until next time. Killing in the name of. There's the camera.